there's one thing I did want to talk about. I don't know if he's comfortable talking about it, but no one's heard this story, but we're going to get the exclusive on the pod and clear the air because obviously, like, on paper, it looks bad.
The year of 2022, I did $50+ million in revenue. We ran into some issues where supply chain products weren't adding up, and we had an encounter with law enforcement. So they came in apparently guns blazing. Like, I remember my warehouse manager saying there were enough cops there for each one. Each one had a gun pointed at each employee.
Golly.
Got them on the ground, handcuffed. You know, everyone's like, dude, what the fuck are you guys talking about? So I was out at that moment in time, maybe like $2 million in a matter of 2 to 3 weeks. I had to sell cars, I had to sell property, I had to sell watches. My legal is definitely watching this video like, you idiot. They told me not to do any press whatsoever because nothing good ever comes from press. But when you're not in the wrong and you haven't done anything wrong your entire life, you know what? Let's clear the air, right? So
podcast not solo, but just me and Dave, and we managed to entertain you for about a year, right? We're going on about a year.
Yep, little over a year.
We very rarely have guests here, but today we got a guest. This guy made a lot of money for being as young as he is. Some of you may have seen him. He's been all over the place. I want to introduce my friend, the youngest Amazon millionaire, Kenzo Sobri.
I appreciate you for having me, my guy.
Welcome.
Kenzo, for everyone that doesn't know it, and for Dave and other Dave, producer Dave and Dave here, you want to just kind of go over like quickly what you do, how you made your money, and all that?
Yeah, so basically my claim to fame is e-commerce, selling online, mainly through the platform Amazon. So I started very young. I'm 22 years old. And I guess one of my biggest feats is in 2022, my main company, KZ International, did just about $52 million in revenue.
Oof.
And, you know, that was with no outside funding. I owned 100% of it. And, you know, there's no daddy's money. There's no rich parents. It's literally a rags to riches story. So, you know, I could sit here and, you know, play the world's smallest violin and talk about how I slept on the floor for the first few years of my life and, you know, how I didn't have a nail to scratch my ass when I started the business. But you know, that's no one really gets anything from that. So,
$52 million is like $1 million a week, bro.
Insane.
Yeah.
So
Insane.
I remember when he was making that much money. He forgot about me, bro. He forgot about the little people.
I didn't forget about anyone. I was just locked in on my business. I just had tunnel vision.
This dude was just living crazy. And keep in mind, he was like 21 years old. I had never seen it in my life before because like I've seen like rich 21-year-olds.
Yeah.
But $1 million a week is insane when you think about it.
Right.
Because he had like a freaking he lived in the Porsche Tower, so he had that big
Car elevator.
So he would park his car, it would take it into his living room.
Wow.
It was like some Tony Stark. Have you seen that?
God damn, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Insane.
So he had that.
Crazy.
He lived there. He had a big ass house in like California. Bunch of cars. He showed me a crazy picture. We had
all
like
the toys.
a
All
bunch
the
of
toys.
Ferraris like sitting in the front.
Did you get that out of your system to where it's like you're kind of capped out on like the fuck you
because
purchases?
because from like where do you go from there, right? When you have $3 million worth of cars in your driveway, like what? I'm gonna go buy a Bugatti. Like it just that the quality of life isn't really that much better for how much more it's going to cost you. So I definitely got a lot of it out of my system. Like, you know, me and Renee used to go out here in Miami and spend 25-50 grand in a night clubbing, doing some crazy stuff. And, you know, the same thing, right? There was a month where I bought 5 cars, and this was in 2020. This was way before I even did the $50+ million in a single year. So that's I definitely feel like I got it out of my system. I still like to enjoy like good experiences. I still like nice shit.
Right.
But it's not that deep.
Right. It's not that necessity to have to be, all right, I got to go and get this. So it's like, okay.
It's nice to have it, but you have to learn to live without it.
You might have to talk closer to the mic, Kenzo.
Okay.
Just for the.
So do you think now it's like, okay, instead of buying the cars, maybe it's you upgrade to like a yacht situation?
Yeah, but so like I wouldn't say right now, I'd say the main focus is enterprise value and making an exit before I think about just spending more money. Because as of right now, like the majority of my cash either goes back into the business or goes to paying investors or other things. So you know, it's not necessarily a phase in my life where I feel like I need to be living it up. I got rid of the majority of my cars. I still have a few titles here and there, but nothing crazy.
So there's one thing I did want to talk about. I don't know if he's comfortable talking about it, but no one's heard this story before. We're gonna get the exclusive on the pod. I know because I'm his friend, but just like any other story, because I've never seen a kid make that much money ever in my life, bro. It's weird to call you a kid because you're an adult. You're a lot more mature than a lot of the people I know, right? But in early last year, like, you know, when you have a blow up like that, some crazy shit happens. So I don't know if you want to just go into it a little bit and explain a little bit and clear the air, because obviously, like, it's on paper it looks bad, right? on paper it looks bad.
I mean, not really. It just
but
depends
the
on
thing
how
is-
like how much common sense you have to interpret the situation.
Yeah, but people don't have common sense though. We learned this. Like,
That
they're
is
gonna
true.
read
Yeah,
something,
that
they're
is
gonna
true.
assume the worst.
Right.
People, like, they go to me, they're like, "You're a fucking scammer," and it's kind of like, bro, if I'm a scammer, why am I like free, living good? Like, why is there no lawsuits against me? Why is there, like, if this was all true, like, you're a scammer, why is there no lawsuits? There's no fucking, I'm living good. Like, there's no issues with me. Clean, exactly. So it's like, so people will read something, right? I'm referring to the specific article that we were talking about. I don't know. So there's a it was a
Hit piece?
There was a CNBC hit piece.
Ah,
It wasn't even a hit piece, but it makes it sound worse than it is.
okay.
So I want to give him some chance to give context and clear the air. If you want to just explain.
Yeah, so my legal is definitely watching this video like, you idiot. They told me not to do any press whatsoever because nothing good ever comes from press. But when you're not in the wrong and you haven't done anything wrong your entire life, like, you know what? Let's clear the air, right? So for those of you guys that aren't aware of this entire situation, the year of 2022, I did $50+ million in revenue. Like I said, it was a really big year. The previous year, we only did 14 million. We ran into some issues at the end of 2022 where supply chain products weren't adding up, and we had an encounter with law enforcement. So
The way you said it, we had an encounter with law enforcement.
so we had an encounter with law enforcement. They visited our warehouse. They basically went through every single pallet of products we had in our warehouse, pallet by pallet, pulled down from the shelves. Each master case opened up, each product taken out, each barcode or serial number checked. And this is for like 500-600 pallets. My warehouse is filled to the brim. And come to find out, some of the products that we've purchased from these suppliers are apparently illicit goods, meaning these are products that weren't supposed to be in my possession, also known as stolen merchandise.
Right.
So I was sold stolen merchandise from these wholesale distribution companies all in the greater Los Angeles area. And I'm not going to go throw any names out there. If you guys do your research, I'm sure you'll be able to find out all about it. But yeah, so I got caught in the middle of buying products from these big wholesale and distribution companies that they shouldn't have been in their possession. They didn't have the authorization to pass title to these products. And so essentially what happened, about 80 to 100 pallets of products were taken from my property.
What's the monetary value on something like that?
It was probably in excess of $1 million.
Shit.
$1 million US was taken from
his
my
warehouse.
possession, right? And remember, I paid all these suppliers for these products, right? So my cost of goods is $1 million right there. I already bought some of this product. And the worst part is, I'm not the only operator when it comes to this business. I had other partners in terms of Amazon storefronts.
Right.
And so what happens is I buy the products, I would sell it to these storefronts. And so some of the inventory was sold. So I had my $1 million in products taken, and then I had to refund clients an additional $1 million on top. So it was insane. So I was out at that moment in time, maybe like $2 million US in a matter of 2 to 3 weeks, because at the end of the day, like, regardless of whether or not I'm the one at fault, like, the transaction is done between me and the client. So I have to take care of the client, and I have to pursue on my end and resolve it in the best manner possible, which is litigation. And that's what we're actively doing. So I can't really go crazy into the specifics and the details about it, because we are actively suing these vendors. Like right now, our damages are in excess of $50+ million US. And yeah, it was insane. And that was just the first domino. And I went through some very hard months. I'd say there was a 3 to 6 month time span where, you know, yes, maybe I was still doing $1 million a month, but going from $5 million to $1 million a month, when your overhead just for your California operation alone between payroll and warehousing is $150,000 a month, you go belly side up quick. And yeah, I had to close down my California operations. We had to like basically stop buying inventory for a while we traced back where the illicit goods came from. And we literally just had a clean slate and start from scratch, reinvent our SOPs, the whole nine. And it was a really tough time for me, actually, going from, 2020 doing 3 million to 2021 doing 14 million, 2022 doing 50 plus million. I thought 2023 was going to be the year where I'm like $100 million. I'm going to sell my company. And I had an offer for over 8 figures for the company 2 months before this incident happened. And I was like, you know what? It's not good enough. I'm going to wait until the end of 2022. I'm going to get that final tax return and I'm going to fucking let this ship sail.
Yeah.
And you know what? I held on and
yeah.
And I had to pivot. I had to reinvent myself. I'm telling you. And at that exact moment in time, I lost like $2 million of my cash. I had to sell cars. I had to sell property. I had to sell watches. Dude, I cleaned the shop just to make sure my people were taken care of. And even then, I still struggled because, there's some commitments I'd taken on. There was a deal where I had some investors 2 months before put in some money. And it was an agreement of 5% interest per month. So I was paying $32,500 per month on this note. And 2 months later, that happens where I lose the $2 million. So I'm out of the money, and I still continue to pay these people $32,500 for the whole year until the note expires. And then I'm like, yo, we need to reorganize this debt schedule because shit could change quick. So just as quickly as you could go ahead and rise, just as quickly as you could fall. But thankfully, I was able to, renew myself like a phoenix, reinvent myself and pivot, and shit's going great. I'm pocketing 6 figures a month easy again, and it's just working our way back up.
What did it feel like seeing that 2 mil like have
Dude,
to leave?
I was depressed for months. I didn't talk to anyone. I didn't want to do anything. All I did was smoke. So I after that happened, and when it happened, I wasn't even in California where the whole shebang happened. I was in Florida. I was in Miami getting married. I was getting married in Miami, and yeah, I fly back, and I was depressed. It was right before Christmas, so I didn't know what would happen, because when you have an encounter with federal government.
Yeah, how did that work? I remember I know you kind of told me the story, but like what was like when you got the call, because you said you weren't even here, right? You weren't even
I was.
in LA,
I wasn't even in LA when all this was happening.
So the warehouse was in California.
Warehouse was in California. My few warehouses are in California, and I was in Miami getting married.
Shit.
I was getting married to my wife, and we were celebrating, and man, I didn't have an appetite. We went back home. It was right before Christmas, right? Because this was like December 22nd. Christmas is the 25th.
Right.
So I'm there, like, looking out my window, like, what's gonna happen? No one's told me anything. My lawyer doesn't even know. It's the holidays. No one has an update for me. Like, can I get my inventory back? We sent them. We had to get together like all of our invoices and all of our paperwork to send to the government for them to go ahead and review. And they reviewed all of it, and all of it's clear. We're good, but like we never got the inventory back. Like, and obviously we paid for it, but because the people that we paid the inventory for didn't have like the authorization, a pass title for these goods, we're out. So we're still suing these vendors, and like I said, dude,
so did they like bust in like on some like SWAT team with like guns drawn
out
and
the
shit?
Dude, it was crazy. But that's how California is with their task force, because of all the marijuana stuff and that.
So they came in like guns blazing.
Came in apparently guns blazing. Shit. Like I had like 20 employees. I had 20 employees, and I remember my warehouse manager saying there were enough cops there for each one. Each one had a gun pointed at each employee. Golly. Got them on the ground, handcuffed. Everyone's like, dude, what the fuck are you guys talking about? Like, because they were all like trying to ask these guys questions, like, like, what do you know about buying stolen merchandise and this, that, the other? And they're like, dude, we work here. Like, what do you want? Like, or like, it was
interrogated.
It was crazy, but they let everyone go. They just had the warehouse manager stay so he could pull down the pallets so they could check everything. And yeah,
those employees are probably like, what the fuck? This is like
crazy.
This is a drug front.
Right.
Dude, yeah. I was like, no, apparently they had dogs and everything. Like,
that's crazy.
Right, that's crazy. I just started watching The Wire, and everyone's like, people just break up in there.
Steal this coke.
God damn.
No, but so I remember, because when I heard it, right, someone sent me this article, and they're like, yo, isn't this your boy? Because like we used
Yeah.
to like hang out like all the time. So like they're like, isn't this your boy? Like, yo, your boy's a thief. Send me this article. I'm like,
Like, dude, I've never stolen anything in my life.
I was like, this doesn't sound. I was like, this doesn't sound like him. Like it doesn't like sound like he would do this thing. Like obviously he's and then the more I think about it, right? Like it's only common sense. You look at it, you're like, he's not in jail. He's not fucking. There's no like fucking criminal charge against you. Right? Like people need to do common sense and like just think about like, well, you're
But
obviously
so no,
out.
the thing about the whole article was it literally was just for views. Like the majority of the article was about, I think, like 5 or 6 different businesses in the area that apparently were like selling illicit goods. And they just name dropped me more so for like
you
the
got hit 'cause you were
SEO.
the biggest
because
one.
I'm,
Yeah,
I'm
probably
the
'cause you had
biggest
the
guy.
highest name,
I'm
right.
the youngest Amazon millionaire.
I
And
remember
that
I read
video
that.
got
It's
so
like,
many
this guy
views.
known
They
as the
literally
youngest
linked
Amazon
that video in the article. So
Right.
and I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure that actually I'm not even sure I'm gonna say that.
Yeah, bro. This is my thing. At the end of the day, you've lived one hell of a fucking life at 21 already or 22 now. But like to have all that shit happen, to build a fucking $50 million a year business,
Yeah.
make $1 million a week at 21 years old. Like
Yeah, it's pretty fucking insane.
I was telling people
Yeah.
because everyone's like, yo, like, he's done. I'm kind of like, he's not done, bro. He's 21 years old. When you were 21, you were fucking broke. I was broke when I was 21. I don't know.
Yeah, I was
What-
broke. Yeah,
you
I
were
was broke. Yeah, I was broke. Goddamn thing.
no.
So it's
I'm
like,
chilling.
Broken. Let alone
no, so like
broke.
literally, like he built his business. So literally, like you gave him a couple months, you gave him 6 months. It hasn't even been 6 months yet, and he's like rebuilt it super quickly.
Right.
But that's
Yeah,
what
I mean,
happens when
we're
you,
already doing, like 7 figures a year already. I mean, even in 2023, after taking all those L's, we still did like 15 million US.
Yeah.
So like like don't get it twisted. I'm still fucking crushing anybody watching this video.
Yeah.
Like, but it's not it's just not what it once was. But I've definitely learned from it. I've been able to like tighten down because ignorance is bliss, right?
Right.
Like. It wasn't my job to play investigator. It's not like I'm buying iPhones that sell for $1,000 for $100, right?
Yeah.
Like, first of all, I didn't even get offered crazy products like iPhones. But like, if I bought, let's say, that microphone and it sells for $100 on Amazon, I'd be paying like $50-$60. And then after like Amazon's 15% and shipping, like there really isn't that much meat left on the bone. So,
Right.
it's like my job is to look for a good deal. If you have multiple retail storefronts across the greater Los Angeles area, you're doing millions of dollars in business, you've been around for years, like why would I have any reason to suspect,
Right. Right.
Yeah.
you're fucking doing some sketchy shit?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's not like, it's not like someone's pulling up with a fucking truck or you're in some back alley and, doing some fucking sketch shit.
Yeah.
It's like a chain of command situation where it's like, all right, you see something that looks very appealing, you go forth with it, hoping that it's operating in good faith, and then you would assume the other person's not trying to, they're not doing anything
Correct.
nefarious on the back end.
And
then unfortunately,
that's
things
what it is.
happen and
It's
it
just
ends up
ignorance is
falling on
bliss,
you because,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've definitely been a little naive. Like I even after that, like when that whole situation happened, I came here to Miami, right, just to kind of like figure things out, right, double down on the
Well,
warehouse out here.
Real quick, the craziest part about this, right? Because I think people often misconstrue. They think like, oh, when shit goes bad, this person's gonna be poor. It's like you're not really gonna be poor. It's like, oh, I go from making $1 million a month to $100,000 a month.
Right.
It's like I'm not poor by any means, but it's like fuck, I'm poor for myself compared to myself. Like,
Yeah,
Right.
I can't drive a
100%.
fucking
A new car every
now
single day.
I'm flying first class instead of is it raining? That's crazy.
Yeah. Big storm just
I'm
broke up.
flying first class instead of private now. Like that's really what it is,
Yeah.
So
Right.
like-
It's not that big of a drop off in lifestyle. I think it's just that it all depends
Well,
on
it
what
is a
you're
little
like. You're
bit- it is a
over.
big drop off, but
'cause
like-
it all depends on like I guess
It's a
what
drop off
your
on
overhead
personal
just so happens to be.
consumption, right?
Right.
Like,
Right.
'cause, like I always have to make sure my employees are taken care of me. I have to make sure the business has cash to operate. So it's just like I'm last right now. So like when you start a business, you go through this phase of the business owning you.
Yeah.
You're your accountant, you're your marketing, you're your sales, you do everything. Then you find once everything's automated, you own the business now,
Yeah.
right? It just got back to me having to be inside of the business and managing shit. So like I said, I came back here to Miami to reinvent myself and shit was going great. I started doing $1 million a month again, and then I took a chance on this one deal that I got introduced by someone we mutually know. And this guy offered me a direct.
I thought it was the one that I introduced you to.
No. So this guy introduced me to this guy who's like, okay, I'll give you the direct deal with Samsung. I'm like, And the guy knew what he was talking about when I was at lunch with him. He knew about Amazon, he knew about the sales and buy box and blah, 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 blah. Right? And so we're going back and forth, and he's showing me the products he gave me. He's telling me pricing. I'm like, yo, I found a gold mine. And because I met this guy through someone else who I think has a lot of money, I was like, yo, I'm in. And so ignorance is bliss. I just trusted this guy blindly. I sent this guy not $500,000, $331,000. Next thing you know, he's in Europe buying fucking magnum bottles of Ace of Spades and fucking off traveling the world. And then I do my research. The guy, right after he scammed me, he filed for $49 million worth of bankruptcy.
Wow.
It's a business. It's a fucking dirty
he's
game
still,
out
he's
there, bro.
still on jets. He just got married. He probably bought his bitch a rock and everything else in
the
between.
Tinder swindler, bro.
And
Lord.
right now, you know,
he got hit.
Yeah, no, the guy's flexing on IG, bro, and he
Yeah,
owes me
The
an
Tinder
arm and a leg.
swindler.
Yeah.
So-
That was a big story. Oh my God. I couldn't
The
imagine.
craziest part about that is like,
Craziest part, he's Jewish as well.
Yeah. Oh well.
oh,
There it is.
whoa.
There it is.
You're gonna get this fucking,
There it is.
You're gonna get this podcast banned, bro.
Oh boy.
Tinder swindler.
Ain't nothing like a
Tinder-
kosher
yeah,
scam.
the
you
Tinder
know?
swindler.
Yeah, no, I'm not
Yeah.
saying anything about. I'm
Yeah,
just saying
okay.
Tinder
Yeah.
swindler.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a
One-to-one.
kosher scam. It's a kosher scam.
No, but
It's
We
unfortunate.
might need to bleep that.
yeah, we'll bleep that. That's crazy.
Hey, yeah, it's wild, man. That's tough. That is tough. God damn. Now,
No.
was the feeling of losing the $2 million worse
I
than
was
that feeling afterwards of like now it's like okay, you put your trust, but this is like more
No.
personal.
I was just like, damn, because I got the judgment and everything rather quickly. I have a over $500,000 judgment here in
Okay.
Florida court, but the guy's bankrupt, so I can't really collect on
Ah.
anything.
That's
Yeah.
the craziest part about money. It's like if he's bankrupt.
Dude, it's a cheat code.
Yeah, that's where
it's
the
a
whole
cheat
game
code.
is at,
And
yeah.
all he does is he just hides his money in different places.
Right.
It's criminal what he's doing, but if someone were able to prove it, he'd go to jail. But if he goes to jail, he's not going to be able to pay you your money back. So
Yeah, it's like you
You're
try to
gonna lose
insulate
either
yourself,
way.
put up a bunch of different barriers to where you can kind of
yeah,
shield
exactly. So now, like, I don't trust anyone. I don't like to meet anyone. Anyone I meet, you're a 10-foot pole. Like,
I think what it is too, it's because you're young. Like everyone makes mistakes while they're young.
Yeah.
I could that's crazy. 50 million, like that's wild. But I made a lot of money in like 2019, 2020. I thought I was gonna go forever,
it. Yeah,
and it didn't. So I had to cut back my life also. And
Big
you guys
time.
kind of saw it. Like my old place compared to this, my old place was still nice. I was still good. I was still traveling every month.
Yeah.
Still having a good life. I just wasn't dropping 50 bands in the club, doing that. You know. So like. But then, like, you reset. If you built your own fortune, you can always do it again. So, like, you kind of reset.
right. It's a skill. It's a skill because once you
Reset.
have that skill, you'll
mean,
always
business is
be able to make
seasons.
that happen. Right.
Yeah.
Right. You'll always be able to make that happen. I think a lot of times in the populace, whenever they hear like the big numbers of the money that's made, they always assume like, oh, this business is making it, then you're making it, as if there's
Yeah.
nobody
Nah,
else
the
who has to be
business has
paid.
tons of
there's
overhead.
a ton of overhead that has to be
Tons of
covered. So,
overhead.
like, whenever you happen to have like a drop off, because I think more often than not, especially in business, where as you're continuing to grow, you increase in overhead because of course you're spending more on ads.
Of course,
and you have to pay other people.
if you want to scale,
Right.
you have to spend more, and that's the big thing about my company, right? I went from 3 million to 14 to 50 plus, and the only way I was able to scale is because every single dollar that I got in went back into the company because it's a products-based business.
Right.
If you want to do $5 million a month in revenue, you need to buy $4 million worth of stock every single month, and then you have to add, your employee costs and everything else in between. So, like, yes, you're doing these big numbers, but like at the end of the day, what are you actually taking
Right.
home?
Right.
Also, you're flipping. Like, here's the cool part: you're just flipping your money, right? You're like, yo, you could start with $500. Hey, I made this $500 into $1,000. Now take this $1,000, make it into $2,000.
Those are some
2,000
crazy
into-
flips. Those double ups are crazy. But yeah, no, for
I
sure.
think so. Here's the thing: I think it's easy to do a double up at $500. You can easily flip $500 into a double because it's not volume. It only gets hard when you're doing $100,000. Now you can turn 100 into 120.
Yeah.
120 into 140. Like it slows down as you get bigger. But I think at some point the snowball got so big. It's like the rule of compounding interest, right? If you take, would you rather take $1 million up front or a penny, but it doubles every single day?
Yeah. Yeah.
By the last day, after 30 days of it doubling, you're like at $5 million.
Yeah. But then
So-
it's the time frame of over time.
Well,
Who
that's
has
why he
that
was saying,
patience
like,
to
he
have
did
that
3
happen?
million and then 14 million and
Right.
then 50 million because that's just at some point you hit critical mass.
Yeah,
and
I
the
was just,
snowball
and
got
but
so
also
big.
it wasn't just like me putting the product money back into it. It's like any service and setup fees, like everything else, I'd have to put it because if the clients needed more inventory, like I can't feed rabbit food to an elephant and ask if he's full. right?
That's a banger.
So that is pretty fire.
Did you
good one.
make that up right now?
I didn't make that up right
Yeah,
now.
write that down. Write that down. Write that down.
But,
That's what I'm saying. He's like real fucking smart for a 22-year-old. I like look at. I don't know any other because even now all the kids that are like rich still haven't done all the stuff he's done, which is crazy. But continue. You can't feed rabbit food to an elephant.
And that was the thing. I just had to make sure that I had enough products to keep my clients filled. Otherwise, like, how could I, offer to take on more clients if I can't even feed my current clients and allow them to scale to whatever level they wanted to scale to?
Right.
And that's the crazy thing too, bro. Like, people will use you for everything you're good for, and then they'll just fucking throw you away, man.
Yeah.
Like, I had a client that probably got somewhere between 3 and 6 million US dollars gross deposited from Amazon into their bank account. And still, after this whole like issue happened, they still tried to sue me. Thankfully, we're completely like safe in everything that what we do. We've never done any wrong, so we were able to get everything kicked and thrown out. But it just goes to show that people at any moment they will look to trip you. They will look to get if they think you are able to give them one last golden egg, they're gonna take that and then they're gonna discard you.
Users, man. Users. It's difficult because I think in life that kind of speaks to it, where you when you have genuine people who are around you, you feel much more safe.
Yeah,
but then there's
100%.
some individuals where they'll lean in, make it seem as if they're genuine, and then they'll just take.
They honeypot you. No, but like that's the biggest thing, right? Like I guess you made it when you have people that are trying to use you.
Right. Because you want to be useful. I think in life that's kind of what people want to go for.
Yeah, like if no one wants to use you, it's probably because you have no use.
You have no real use.
Yeah.
That's this. So you want to be used, but you don't want to be taken advantage of.
Right.
So it should be like you lean with value. The other person leans with value. But once it gets to a point where it's like, hey, I'm the only one kind of giving value here. You're just taking and taking and taking and taking and taking. Now that kind of creates a situation where you're in now, where it's like, hey, I have this wall up, and it could be somebody who's genuine, but now I have to kind of play back and just wait.
And I mean, I definitely, I remember one of my friends telling me this. He's like, there's 2 moments you find out how many friends you really have. One is when you're broke, and one is when you buy your first PJ. And it's 2 completely different types of friends that you're going to find out. So, yeah, I mean, like with Renee, I really like our relationship because it's just like, hey, like if we could do dope shit together, great. But our friendship has always came first. Like,
I've been his friend before he made a bunch of money too.
Yeah, and so like and even then, like there's been some investments that we've done together that have gone sideways or not performed how we wanted. But regardless of that, we understand that it's not always 100%. And so long as like we've made collectively more than what we've lost, or so long as we feel that we're each providing a lot more value than taking, I feel that everything's just been a very positive, like brotherly environment. That friendly competition.
Yeah, that's how it should be. Because I think if you go and you get into a friendship with somebody, it's only predicated on what not only what can you get, but what can we just produce together, rather than the actual relationship. Now it's not real.
Yeah.
Because all it takes is just 1-2 bad business deals. Like, oh, I hate this person, but you just loved them the other day because money was rolling in. But what happens when you're back up against the wall? If you turn against that person, then it was never really genuine to begin with.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, like, money's the one thing that kind of fucks everybody up, and you'll see, especially in Miami too.
Crazy.
There's too much motion here to where it's like that's what happens.
Too much motion that like you'll see people are just like sideways. It's crazy because they'll put money over like their own like
blood.
Right.
Not their own blood, but like also like their own like personal morals. Like there's some things I will never do for money, or like even if you would be like, yo, like you're gonna make $1 million, you gotta just fuck someone over in this deal. I'm like, that shit will come around and get you, bro. It's not a way to live
because you can never operate thinking it can never happen to you.
You don't believe in fucking karma,
right?
You know what I'm saying? Like, like if you do that, then like your entire life you're fucking like. Yo,
you gotta look over. You don't want to live your life having to look over your shoulder. That's crazy.
Like doing any sort of like illegal, like making money any sort of illegal way, doing anyone dirty on any deal. Like now you're always just kind of like looking over your shoulder and shit. So with me, I've always just done shit on my own, but like I've made very little enemies because I don't want to be looking over my shoulder. I got a fucking wife and kid to think of. I'm not going to do all that. So,
and that's the interesting thing about it, because as you continue to go, let's say if you were doing nefarious things to go and make the money, as you increase your lifestyle, or maybe, okay, I'm becoming a family man, you think the person you screwed over cares?
Yeah.
Like that's going to come back the other way. And now you have more targets. For
yeah.
Exactly.
You're creating leverage for the other person by doing that. And you look at it, right? Like a Pablo Escobar.
Yeah.
This dude at some point has so much fucking money. He was losing like $4 million because the rats were eating the cash.
Yeah.
A day. He was losing $4 million a day because the rats were just eating his cash. He had so much cash. you're that fucking rich, you're that successful, right? You could be a legend and you're gonna go down in history forever. But at the same time, the dude couldn't really do anything he wanted. He was confined to his little space.
Yeah. And then
You
the
know?
times in which he went out to where, like when he was took the photo at the White House and everything like that right outside, although it looked like he cool and
It's
you're like, oh
hard, but
man,
like-
that's awesome. But you think he wasn't losing his mind when he went
Hell no.
outside? Like, oh, these motherfuckers right there. So there's only so much you can kind
And,
of do.
Same exact thing. They busted into his house and fucking shot everyone in there. So
Yep.
it's like I don't know. Shady business always breeds shady results.
Yeah.
That's really at the
100%.
end of the day. But the cool part about you, like I said, because people are like, oh, they blow it out of proportion. They're like, oh, he's done. But it's like he's 21 years old. We're all broke at 21.
Mm-hmm.
You still have a chance to be worth $100 million by the time you're 24, 25. Which is crazy
God
to think
willing.
about, right, people? Because it's when you think about it, it's like I look at people that are like, let's say they're 40, 50 years old, right? And they're looking at this like, loser. But it's like, bro, first of all,
You're 40.
You're 40.
You're 40,
Relax.
You've lost already because you're 40. Because theoretically, right, outside of like, as long as you didn't do anything criminal, you can rebuild.
100%.
You can
Right.
you can easily rebuild, and by the time you're 25, even by the time you're 30, right, you keep you worth $100 million still.
And even
Or way
the
more.
willingness to go and rebuild too, because a lot of times
Yeah.
something like that would break a lot of people.
I mean, it did for a while for me. Like when the first like $2 million that I lost, and I remember like January 2023, I started selling my cars at auction just to like pay people back and shit. I'm like, man, this shit sucks. And then actually, I took another $1 million loss because I invested with that same guy who introduced me to Samsung. I invested in this Forex automation shit, that Forex bot. I put
got your ass for
over $1
fucking-
million of my cash into that. And I didn't even put it into it. I wired him so he could do an internal transfer to me. So he probably laughed his way to the bank with that cash.
That's crazy.
And I just fucking took the L.
Right.
Straight Ponzi. So, but no, I was depressed. I was like, I had my office in Irvine and I would literally get in my Cullinan. I'd drive to the office.
Depressed.
I'd sit down on my desk. I'd check some emails for an hour and I'd leave the office. That's it.
Right.
Everyone else in like everyone's working in the office, but it's dead silent. Like there's like this low energy.
It's like a cloud is over the office.
Everyone just is like waiting for like the shoe to drop or something, right?
Yeah.
And it was like that for 2 to 3 months. Like just no like, and then like eventually I had to just start putting like my fucking big boy pants on and get back after it. And it really changed for me once I went to Japan. I went to Japan in February of 2023. And I went with my mom, my little brother. I was able to show him a good time, made some really good memories, and I was able to like just clear my head, be away from everything.
Right.
And I came back and I was able to like start tackling the problem head on. Like, okay, cool. How do we take care of our clients? Okay, cool. How do we resolve this problem with Amazon? Okay, cool. How do we close this out with the lawyers? And then, okay, how do we get our money back from these people who scammed the hell out of us? Boom, 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 boom. One thing after another. And then it was just 12 months of just, I mean, it's over. It's been over 12 months of just pounding my head against the wall, work, picking up any and all work I could do. And I was able to pay back, millions of dollars and like just, yeah, I'm finally like, I'm not in a moment where I'm able to breathe, to be 100% honest with you. Like, yes, I make, over $100,000 a month, but majority of that goes to my debt schedule.
Right.
Because, I have to make sure that those people are taken care of just so my reputation is intact because once your reputation is shattered, once you're not a man of your word anymore, like you have nothing. You have nothing.
Yeah.
So like, and even the people I had to deal with, they were talking a lot of, like bad things for a long time. And I don't blame them. I would be pissed if I was out at multiple six figures. I don't know if I would have handled it the exact same way, but at the end of the day, so long as like everyone's paid, and I'm rebuilding, right? Like I said, we're finally doing 7-8 figures a year now. And shit's going good.
That's the importance of being able to detach when you're in the funk. Because I'm pretty sure psychologically, you probably looked at it like, man, the same speed the money's coming in is the same speed it's going out.
And more. I couldn't even keep up at some points.
Right.
And dude, I was bleeding out from everywhere, and it was just like demotivating. It's like, damn, I'm doing all this work. None of it's going to like me. I have to give everything to make sure everyone's taken care of. And it was a really rough time, dude. I really had to reinvent myself this past like 18
what
months.
triggered the trip to Japan was like, hey, did you plan like, oh, I
It
gotta
was
just
for
get
my-
the
it
hell
was
up out
for-
of here
nah.
and let's just go and
No,
let,
it was
go
already
on something
planned.
else, like just do something crazy.
Nah,
just
it was already planned. It was for my little brother's birthday. So it was for his 16th birthday. I took my mom, my little brother there. You know, we did the whole shebang, the 5-star resorts, all the best food.
But you were just kind of like,
I was like, I needed like a step back. I started like setting meetings like when I was there and organizing my schedule for when I came back to make sure I was the most efficient. And yeah, like I needed that like recalibration. Right,
it's the beauty of being away from the funk, because now did you feel as if you were kind of on, like, now instead of inside looking out, you're on the outside looking in?
Yeah,
like,
I
oh, wait a
was
minute,
like, I
hold on.
wasn't in the eye of the storm.
Right,
I was like,
right.
I was able to be like, okay, it's going that way. Like, instead of focusing on the problem, how do I solve this?
Right,
Because I
right.
was just so caught up on the problem, like, oh man, legal problem. Oh man, lost money. Oh man, client's pissed. Oh man, this. And it's like, okay, focusing on that's not going to solve anything. How do I solve this? I solve this by making all my clients their money back and some. Okay, how do I do that? I do that by doing what I know. Finding, brand direct deals now, wholesaling that, boom, 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 and just like focusing on what I do best, which is, really organize a strong team, make sure they're operating efficiently, providing value to the marketplace, solving a problem, and that will go ahead and resolve everything else. Everything else will fall into play. And I really also learned that regardless of what's happening in the external world, so long as you fall back to your habits that are good,
Right.
everything else is going to be fine. Like, so long as I know I wake up, I eat well, I go to the gym, I do all the right things, regardless of what's happening externally, I know that I will be able to be in the right place at the right time and I will be ready.
Right, because your strengths got you to this point. It's
Exactly.
like what Gary Vee had always talked about. That
Yeah.
double down, forget the weaknesses. Double down on the strengths. The weaknesses, just find somebody else who can overcompensate for that.
The really cool thing too, right? It's like most people that go through that, we're in the entrepreneur industry. We see these guys, we see
Come
these
and
fuckers,
go.
like they come and go.
Yeah.
All
They
day,
drop
every
like
day.
flies. Like they're hot for a year, and then all of a sudden they're fucking gone. And then you read some things like SEC bans this guy from ever doing this ever again.
Yep.
So especially in your industry, all these guys are fucking. They're like,
Yeah,
this is
everyone's
gross.
dropping like flies in my industry. I've definitely been around the longest.
Exactly. So you've been around the longest, but there's one thing when it comes to longevity. We talk about it a lot, right? I'm not proud. Like, I've never been the richest guy yet.
Yeah.
I've never been the richest guy in my specific industry. But one thing I've done is I've been around longer than a lot of other fucking people. Me and him laugh all the time because we'll go to the gym. I'm like, oh, like they'll come up to us and be like, oh, we've been watching you guys. I'm like, damn, from like 5-6 years ago.
Oh,
But
I bought your course.
These are other well-known entrepreneurs. So like these well-known entrepreneurs now, right? They're like, they look at us like, oh yeah, we were watching you guys like 6 years ago. I'm like, dope. But I think what makes it crazy is like, he's 22.
Yeah.
So like for me, it makes sense because these are like 24-year-old kids. They're like, yeah, I've been watching you. I'm like, yeah, man, I'm 29, right? They go, damn, I've been watching you. He's 22. He's like, I'm younger than you.
Yeah. You want to have that the relevance so you
Yeah.
can stay around
So
for a
you've been
period of
around
time.
for a long time, but the only reason you've been around a long time is because you built a solid foundation. Because it's all built on what you know.
Yeah.
So no matter what, like everything could go.
No
to
one
shit.
could take that from me. No one
Right.
could take any e-commerce, Amazon, wholesale, distribution, logistics. No one could take my knowledge and my experience that I gained over the past half a decade of dealing with that on the front lines. Like I bootstrapped these companies.
Yeah.
So, and I've done it in multiple different states, right? I've had warehouses in Los Angeles. I've had warehouses in Texas. I've had warehouses here in Florida, in New Jersey. So like, I know what the fuck I'm doing. Now we're
Right.
building warehouses in Brazil right now. And we're doing import and export between Brazil and the US right now, just to make sure that our margins are able to be hedged against, Amazon profits are still great. I still think it's the best business to go from 0 to 100K. If you're a beginner, if you want to plug and play and sell other brands, it's not going to get you from 1 million to 10 million because it's not an exit. But if you're getting into e-commerce, Amazon's the best play. However, I'm not going to lie, the margins are slowly going down as more people come into the business. However, as many people come in, they go out. But what I've done to help keep my profits super healthy is now we're sending containers back and forth because no one else is selling these items and we're making crazy margins. And I'm probably now going to have 10 new competitors on my listings next month.
My question, because one thing that's a bitch is lifestyle inflation. Because you had to deal with like scaling back, right? Because I've had to deal with it as well. I think one of the biggest reasons people stay poor is because they inflate their lifestyle. So anyone that makes a little bit more money, the first thing they do is they find a way to spend it on other things.
100%.
Right.
Right? So for you, because you went so crazy, talk a little bit about like the lifestyle inflation aspect of that, because that is like insane.
Yeah, I mean,
What
so
was
it
your
got
overhead at your peak? Like, what was your
so
overhead?
let me walk you through it real quick. It's so gross, man. I get sick thinking about this from time to time. So it was 2019, right? When I bought my McLaren 650S. I was 17 years old. I put 50 grand down and I was paying $2,600 a month. And then I also was renting a penthouse that was $7,800 a month.
Oof.
Right. And that was 2019. 2020, I got my first crib. I was paying 10 bands a month for that. I had my car payments was probably another 10, 20 bands a month.
20,000 a month.
And
Not bad.
you know, me and Renee were traveling, fucking off, doing God knows what country, who knows where, with who knows who.
Right.
2020.
But,
Yeah, 2020.
so that was 2020. And then 2021 was when like the real level up happened. Because remember, in 2020, I still only did like $3 million in my main company. I still had other
I think
companies.
around 2020 we were making around the same money, so we would do similar things.
Yeah, and then 2021 is when shit started picking up. I remember I came here. I was staying with Renee in Miami a little bit, and I just started doubling downing on my business, man. And it just grew month over month over month. And by the end of 2021, I probably was spending in excess of $200,000 a month, maybe.
Oof, boy.
Between like, you know, between the cars, between the jewelry, between going out. I was single.
200 grand a month.
It was 200 bands a month, like, and that's just personal. I'm
And
not
that's
talking
personal.
business. I'm not
Yeah.
talking business.
Not even talking about
Business
business.
expenses were probably in excess of $2 million.
Right.
And then 2022 came around.
Mm-hmm.
Bro. I was on some fuck shit. Like I had my place in Miami, which was 25 bands a month. I had a place in Cali, which came out to 40 grand a month. I had
55 on
car
places.
payments of, you know, 5 grand, 4 grand.
Yep.
I was buying cars cash too.
Another
I bought a
20
Ferrari
on cars.
F430, one owner,
Yeah.
cash for 168 bands. I bought a 2013 Ferrari 458 for 255 grand cash. I bought my girl a car. Dude, I was fucking slanging cars. I bought my mom a car. Dude, I fucking was slanging them. And I was at that moment, like I was buying, you know, Richard Milles and God knows what else. And I was spending at least 350, 400 grand a month.
Right. Because you
400
probably
grand
got to the
at
point where it's
least.
like, I'm printing money. So
Dude,
who
I was
gives a
printing.
shit?
There were months where I was like netting. Never mind.
Yeah,
It gets easy to spend.
Multiple six figures. The company was gross profiting multiple six figures monthly.
Right.
Yeah, well, so it gets easy to inflate your lifestyle once
Yeah.
you start making a lot of money like
Because
that.
psychologically, it's like, well, let's just
like it's
rinse,
always
repeat,
coming
rinse,
in. It's
repeat, rinse,
cash
repeat.
flow,
Right.
baby.
Exactly.
You
Exactly.
guys have seen it recently. Like I inflated my lifestyle a lot compared to where we were before.
For sure.
Because I was only spending like
Triple up.
20 grand a month probably at the old place between like travel, wife, food, et cetera,
Yep.
et cetera. And moving here, we've gotten it substantially higher. So it's gone from like 20 to probably like 50, 60, 70
for
$1,000 a month.
Yeah. I
You know,
would have been
'cause
all the
surprised.
whips and everything.
Yeah, I bought the car cash, I got the Porsche cash, I got the Range Rover from him actually.
What do you know? Yeah, I think it's funny how like psychologically that happens. Like, okay, you're making that money, it's coming in. Why not just go and spend it?
It's
Who
just
gives
like
a shit?
I had a 4-year track record of just every single year doing more and more and more
Right,
and more.
right.
And every month it's coming in. It's like every single day. If you looked at my account, there would be days where I deposit $1 million. It's just like every day I open my account, 100 grand wire, 250K wire, 300K wire. I'm like, yo,
When you're
I'm
making
chilling.
that much money, it becomes inconsequential too.
Yeah,
So
it doesn't.
so a
It
great
almost.
example,
It doesn't
right?
register
I pay
that you're spending
$400
that
to keep
kind
this
of money.
place scented. It's the stupidest expense you could have. I pay $400 a month to keep this place scented. But when you're making fucking hundreds of thousands of dollars a month, let's say, I don't know, $1 million a month, you don't really care. The $400, who cares?
And it's not like I was just fucking off money too. Like I got an insurance policy from one of my clients. I was paying $40,000 a month for my life insurance.
Yeah, the over.
Yeah,
right,
like
right,
I was,
right.
dude. I was doing my shit. I was donating to my boy Charlie's foundations. Every foundation he would do, I'd do 5 grand here, 7 grand there. Like I would do my fair share, right? So donate to the fucking the bottle rats.
Yeah.
We do all kinds of crazy stuff.
A local college girl's
Yeah,
tuition.
hey, you do what you have to, because at that point, I guess, because especially being young, I'm pretty sure you probably at the time looked at it like, well, this is infinite, like it's gonna happen
for sure.
forever.
I mean, I was like, it got to a point where like it just never was really about me. I knew that if I took care of the people that were around me, they would take care of me. So like I was buying employees Rolexes, diamond chains, buying suppliers Rolexes, like all kinds of shit just to make sure like, hey, you're taking care of me, I'm taking care of you. And actually, funny story, there was a supplier that I was talking to. I'm like, hey, if you could like, if we could build up to like $4 million a month or something, that would be really sick. And like, I'll make sure you're taken care of. The moment we hit 4 million, I'll buy you a watch, whatever. I was just kind of joking. He's like, bet. And he got me up to $4 million, sold me $4 million worth of goods. I gave him the watch, didn't sell me a single deal for the rest of the year.
Wow.
I'm like, you fucking cunt.
Yeah, it was all about the watch. It was all about the watch.
Yeah. No, I had similar stuff with clients I have with marketing agency. I'll be like, yo, if I help you make like $2 million, you buy me a Porsche. And then I just ended up buying it for myself because I did it faster. But it works like that. Like that's how it is. Like I think when people make money, they take care of each other. Everyone like takes care of each other.
Like if I made, money with you, I want to cut you
it's
a fucking
about breaking
check.
bread. Yeah, you break bread.
Right. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, that's been yet another episode of the Assiduous podcast. Big shout out to our special guest, Kenzo, coming on, being our second total guest here on the show.
Gotta start getting more, but this is a good episode,
This is a great episode. Great episode. Hopefully, I took a lot of gems away over there in the comment section. Let it be known what you guys think about it. But again, I am your co-host, the diligent, vigilant, meticulous, sagacious, conscientious, analytical, methodical individual, the Chispladonis, and the serial entrepreneur, the Filipino Prince Tycoon, Rene Lacad. And this is We Are Assiduous.